Death is part of living. It happens to everybody.
I'm not a believer of God.
The period you have from like being a child, growing up, just progressing through life, it's so important.
I suppose neither one of you are married.
But what if they did not treat you nicely?
Well, they're still my family.
The love and the things your family teaches you are really like going to stay with you forever, even though a lover might not.
People are mostly good.
Whew. This is interesting.
I think that deep within everybody, there is good inside them, except it's with some people, they haven't found themselves yet in life to be able to show their goodness.
I would like to think that everyone is good, but when I look at the news, for example, a family completely annihilated just a few days ago. Where was the goodness in that man who murdered these people?
So, addressing that, you guys have all probably faced bullying, right?
Oh, yes.
So, the person who bullies another person, they have something that's affecting them, whether it be like their personal issues, issues with their family, and that kind of, in the future, makes them resort to means that aren't good. And sometimes it's not their fault. It could be of their mental health issues. It could be because of the background, like if they've been abused when they were young. Just because you do bad things in the future, you annihilate, you commit crimes, I don't think that means that you're a bad person. I just think that means you're not showing the good side of you. You're showing the bad side.
A lot of it could be a mental illness, too.
Yeah. We take for granted how much kids are educated a lot nowadays because they actually teach these kids a lot of things about bullying and those type of things and personality disorders and all those different type of things that a lot of people take for granted. We'd be surprised at how much generations, just how that old lady, like she asked a question about something that you would kind of expect her to kind of know that, but she doesn't come from that world where they were educated in the same way. And even though she might hear about that, but it just hasn't really like sank enough. But to this kid who's growing up in this day and age of social media where, they're educated a lot about personality disorders and mental illness and what's really going on when, kids bully other kids, all those different type of things. To him, that's the normal world. So that gives him access to understanding a lot more about what's going on. It's interesting. Not that, I can't say that he's educating her, but it's kind of like one of those things that are just like, it's a lot more harder as an adult to deal with certain things than as a child, because he's just speaking from that very, very, very sense of, that's how he perceives the world. He sees the world as it is before having to have like carried any kind of burden or weight of having to like experience somebody killing your family and all that nonsense. Like, he doesn't have kids of his own and all that stuff. So it's still that pure innocence way of looking at it, which I think that's the value of really kind of spending time with kids. When you have kids, they say you have like a second chance in life because you get to see a lot of your life in them and a lot of things that they're going through. You want them to kind of like, you want to make it right for them where it wasn't right for you, I dig this.
A lot of people who have that mental illness and therefore can't show their good side.
There are a lot of good people, and you may be right. Maybe everybody has the ability to be good, but some people don't exercise it. And again, there are people who, I think, somebody kills someone, of course they're sick. That's got to be something mentally wrong that you're going to kill somebody. 45 years ago, we were followed home, and when we got home, we were held up with a gun, and he said he was going to kill me. So he took my ring and took my husband's car keys, and right now, it's worse. The children are not safe. Our children are our future. If they're not safe, who is? And it's not getting better. They're not. It's happening more and more. It's horrible.
And the thing is, the longer you live in this world, I've noticed that the less you become trusting of society, the less you become trusting of people. It becomes harder and harder to believe in goodness. And that's why I say, especially for her husband, it's a lot harder. It becomes harder for some people to actually start to believe in God the older they become, because the more you live in this world, the more you are subjected to principalities of this world. So it becomes that constant wrestle with the struggle of being human. It's tough and it's hard. That's why conversations like this are kind of necessary. Conversations about everything are necessary.
So no, I don't think it's safe now.
Well, for me, I kind of disagree.
Because in a way, wait, hold on a second. I want to hear what she thinks. I'm gonna come back to that. Why she says it's not safer now.
Because yes, there is good in people, but people can be very bad, whether we like it or not. Because for me, I do have a bad side. It might be just because I get like angry really easily, but I can think mean thoughts too. But I try not to say it. I get.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of get into that thing. Is it safer nowadays? It's a very subjective term. I guess it depends on where you live in the world. But our society is a lot safer than it was long time ago. I think it depends once again on what you're looking at it from. I think if you look at crime rates, they are always it's also on the increase, but it's on the increase as population is on the increase, as there's deterioration in a lot of systems. If you look at the public school system, if you look at different societal structures, everything is interlinked with everything. So it really depends on what you mean by that, because if you try to compare today's society where the likelihood of a specific bad thing happening to you is a lot less. Not that it doesn't happen, it does happen. But what's the likelihood that somebody is just gonna, there's just a bunch of guys who are gonna raid into your town or a village or something and they just do whatever they want? Okay, the likelihood is very little because of law and order. That doesn't mean that nobody's gonna break into somebody's house. There's a lot of break-ins that do happen. But what's the likelihood of that happening? There's a lot of, there are parameters of security that do ring-fence the likelihood of that happening. But I don't think we'll ever live in a world where there's going to be no crime at all. But take it back to like 200 or 300 years ago or 500 years ago. What was the likelihood of people just kind of mob gang or gangsters just raiding into a town and just start raping everybody, killing everybody and doing whatever they want? I mean, talk about the Wild Wild West, for instance. There'll be towns whereby they could be raided by this mob of, I don't know, a bunch of crazies. There's only like one sheriff or something, and everybody's got a gun. It's gun-slinging Western time, you know what I mean? And they could just pretty much do anything. They could like take your daughters and stuff like that, and your wives and stuff, I mean, it was less safer if you look at it from that extreme side. So it's kind of like a subjective thing, to be honest with you. Of course, you've got extreme situations, which is why I'm saying it depends on where you're from, because right now in certain African countries, in Sudan, in Congo, you still got a lot of friction. You still got war-torn countries right now going on, what's going on in Afghanistan and so on. You still got countries that people are not as safe as, that they're not enjoying certain freedoms as enjoyed by various countries in this modern day and age.
Get mad easily, whether you believe it or not. I will literally scream at you. One time when my friend was called a brat, I was about to go full crazy on that person, but instead I tried to be nice. But I couldn't help it. I was like,
She's kind of being honest. She's just being honest there. She's talking about the personality side of the world, man. We're humans, but sometimes we have a proclivity and an inclination to want to do bad things. Okay, but there is a goodness in everyone. The question is, how many people are actually gonna choose to be good or choose a good deed as opposed to a bad deed?
Do you think there is mostly good people in the world? Actually, everybody in the world is good, but the bad people just want to show their bad side. So then they're just the bad people that we think about when we think bad people, because they did things they weren't supposed to, and they did it because they wanted to.
I was always taught to the golden rule.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
That's right. I would like to be treated kindly, and I would hope that people are teaching their children that.
I would love to be rich.
well, for me, I'd love to be rich because let's say I have like $1 million. I can invest in stocks first, and then I can like start like a business, and then I can make like more money. And then the more money that I get, I can also help other people. Like I can help poor people, I can donate to charities, and I can also help out myself and other people.
But basically, you think you require money to be rich.
Well, you can also be rich in love.
But you can be rich in other things, in what you have.
Like a great personality, too.
Yes, I think I am rich because I'm blessed with a wonderful family.
I think that a lot of times what happens, people think of accumulating wealth, which is a sign of happiness. And happiness to me there's one word, it's contentment. If you are content with your life and what you're doing, I think you're then very, very happy and very, very rich.
This is the one subject that I think one motivational speaker captured it really, really well. It's true that money doesn't buy you happiness, but that's why we all want to find out. That just kind of sunk in when I heard him say that. It's funny, but it's true. There's there's enough case studies that you can make. There's enough people that we can make, like Warren Buffett, who has lived the same life for many, many years, because he said, look, he knows a lot of people who live in mansions, but they're not happy. They own multiple mansions, of course, because he's his rich circle of friends, and he sees that like a close hand, like he's like at that level of success. He's a wealthy tycoon. His kids only knew that he was one of the second most richest person in the world much later on in life. They never knew because he never showed it. They were able to afford everything. His house that he stayed in, why does he stay in the same house? Keeps him warm during winter and keeps him cool during summer. So he was just able to provide for his kids. They can go to vacations, they can go study anywhere they want. They have all the necessities of life. You understand me? Which I think that's the main aspect of it. Then there is that other side of wanting to just have more than what is necessary. Necessities. Lack of contentment. It's a personal thing, and unless people learn what that actually means, they're just gonna have to find out the hard way. I think we all learn lessons at different points in times, but I love how they just contextualize that like really, really well. It's one of those things. I really like the conversation. And with the kid, I think she's just kind of being a child. That's how we all thought. What would you do with R1 million? What would you do with this million? I would think, buy a lot of toys, buy this, buy that. I would acquire. We think of acquisition. We think of acquiring something else. But everything that we ever acquired, well, it just became like one of those things. Like right now, I have the cell phone that I wanted. It's useful to me. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. There was a time when I was struggling. I didn't even have like a smartphone. Now I've got like multiple devices. I've got a tablet. I've got MacBook. I've got, what I'm saying? I've got different devices that I can afford. Did they make me happy? Not really, not necessarily. But are they convenient? Yes, they are convenient. So once you reach that convenience, then I don't feel the need to want to own anymore. Some people feel the need to like upgrade their phone all the time. Like, I just can't stay without a new phone. Whatever. I don't know. People just keep wanting more and more and more. I guess it's just that thing. Like, the question is why? What do you want from that specific item? What are you expecting it to make you feel and have? What fulfillment are you going to get? Look, the unfortunate truth is that they do not fulfill anything. And unless if people really, really dig deep within to really challenge themselves, if you don't challenge yourself enough to really want to know, what do I really want out of life? This is a conversation that's just going to fall into different ears, but it's one of those things.
I feel like I'm already rich in happiness because I have nice friends, and I have a nice family, and I have a pretty nice life. I'm actually pretty spoiled. Well, actually,
But don't tell your mother and father, right?
I could tell. You can tell how kids are like spoiled, already, because they always have this kind of sense of entitlement and so on. So she was like the first one to be like, okay, I want the middle chair and stuff like that. I don't think she's a bad kid, I just think it's just one of those things, how you raise a kid. How you raise a kid will always kind of have an impact in how their worldview is going to be. We tend to see that all the time. Shish, man, you got to be careful when it comes to spoiling kids.
All right, well, I was going to. All right, that's all right.
Thank you. You are truly a gentleman. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to steal it.
You're going to try.
Okay, well, I think it would be cool to be rich, but when I think of rich, I think of kind of selfish people with golden cars, mansions, show off. When I think of rich people, I think of kind of mean people. Not all rich people are mean. I know that's not what you meant, but I know that you only think about the mean rich people, but not everybody that is rich is mean. Yeah, but like most of them are like show off because they're like, I have so much more money than you. I have a mansion, I'm a millionaire. No, I don't like mean people, so that is not really what I like.
Yeah, I think she just contextualized it like that. I think we all want money for the sake of acquisition. I want to acquire something that you don't have. When I was in advertising, when I was studying in university, one of the first things that we had to learn is to deconstruct how people think and how society thinks and how we categorize society, how society is categorized. For instance, if you're gonna sell a sports car, you don't sell it to somebody who's looking for a car. You look for You sell it to somebody who wants to boost their ego, who wants to get to that next level of showing off that this is where I am at, and this is what you guys are down there, this is where I'm at, look at me. And that's really pretty much it. A lot of people can't confront themselves to get to that point, because it's like, you know, I'm like, really, come on. Look, confronting yourself about certain things that expose you of your fallacies, it's not an easy feat. And not everybody will want to do that, because it's not an easy fit, okay? It requires a little bit of, you know, it requires conflict, it requires some guts. Okay, you got to be gutsy to kind of really get there, because we are, to some extent, very self-centered and narcissistic as human beings, and we're very much about the self, and that very essence of narcissism is what puts a lot of strain in relationships, because when you're in a relationship, what do you have to do? What's the number one thing that you have to do? You constantly have to now learn how to accommodate someone else, because it's not just about you. That's not easy. All right? When you grow up in a world that says you can have this, you can have that, competitions, what are they about? We got to determine who's number one, who's the winner, who's above the rest, you know?
One of my favorite authors, he said, it is with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eyes. So I think money is materialistic. And as my favorite authors, he said, it is with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eyes.
Ooh.
So I think money is...
Stop that. Stop that. I want to find out who said that. Who said that? Now, one of his favorite authors. He's a smart kid. He's a real smart kid. But it is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eyes. What's his name? Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but...
is materialistic. And as you said, materialistic things in my life don't matter to me. It's more of trust, your friends, your support system, your family, things that matter to you, things that can only be seen with the heart, not with your eyes.
I like that, and I agree with you.
Life is difficult.